Her story deals with a subculture of heavy metal music that some feel is sending a dangerous message to your kids.
The forces of evil on the dark side of devil rock.
And I want to talk tonight about the devil and demons and witches and wizards.
And we just mix it up with hardcore and aggression and come out with something we think's an original sound.
Loud, fast, heavy, you know.
Well, what do you got?
What do you got?
You're listening to Riff Worship, the podcast that attempts to answer the age-old question, what makes a riff? Why do we care about riffs? Talking about some of our favorite albums containing riffs, talking to people who make great riffs. I'm one of your hosts, Austin Paulson. With me, as always, is one of my very, very good friends, Justin Swindle. What's going on, man?
I'm with you most of the time when there's not a plane driving into a building in my neighborhood.
That's true. You missed last week because there was a literal act of God in your backyard.
Yes. Damn, you got Breaking Bad season 2. What happened?
I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and I live very near the UPS plant.
Boy!
And last week, UPS plane taking off drove into a building. Yeah.
And literally right before we were supposed to record. So he was like,
well, I think one of their engines just never turned on, which that's a problem apparently.
You may notice that Dylan is not with us today, but we have another proud member of the Bald community with us. He writes amazing riffs. You might know him from such projects as Bandit, World Below, Knife Play. The last time I saw him, he was performing with Chopin on the tour with Sumac and Patrick Shiroshi.
Yes.
He's an amazing photographer. He drives bands on tour. Jack McBride, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
This is great. Were you at home at all this year? Like it seemed like you were gone.
I wasn't home. I was home I was home until the summer, and then basically the entire summer I was filling in or playing with Bandit or driving for that Russian Circles tour. So I'm happy to not have anything really going on for the rest of the year.
Yeah, because Bandit was on tour in April.
Yeah, we went on that Wormrot tour, and then we did Europe, and in between that I did the Chipong tour that I saw you at, and then I did that Russian Circles tour with driving Blackwater Holy Light.
So you've spent a lot of time with Brian Cook this year.
Yeah, such a sweet guy. I really love him. And that was part of why I agreed to do that tour driving, is because Sonny from Blackwater Holy Light texted me while I was on the Sumac tour. And I was like, oh, Brian, we might get to hang out for another 2 weeks, and then into the summer. And he was such a sweetheart. And I love the Blackwater Holy Light girls, so it was an easy yes. But it was a lot of fun.
That new single, I'm so stoked for the new record to come out next year.
It's sick. It's sick. Sonny showed me some tracks there, some really, really vibey, super beautiful and lush tracks. And then there's some super heavy tracks. They're way heavier than some of them. It's sick. I'm excited as fuck.
That's going to be great. With, Chopin, I know you've been friends with them for a long time. You share a member with them. You've performed on one of their records. Was there any, have you filled in for them before? Was this your first time learning?
No, it's my first time.
Really?
I've learned the songs for fun.
Yeah.
Just because that's how I like to practice, is learning other band songs.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the first time I actually got to play with them, and it was crazy.
Yeah, it was a great tour. I saw you on the second night of the Chicago date at the Empty Bottle. The night before I missed, where you got to perform at the Museum of Surgical Science.
It surprisingly sounded so much better than you would think that it would.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be a boomy mess of horribleness, because it's a stone building that's not made for metal bands to play in. But it was great. And seeing Sumac play with all the statues around, it was awesome. It was a very cool experience. Definitely the coolest venue I'll ever play.
Oh, I'm sure it was a lot of fun though. To be with all those people. Sumac's great. It was the first time I ever saw Patrick play. Unreal. If anybody listening has not checked out the new record, I highly recommend checking that record as well. Any other fun moments from tour? Were there any hurdles in performing with kind of a I mean, you're familiar with the material, but this is your first time playing with them. Were there any hurdles to playing live with
There
your
were some
band?
hurdles. There were some hurdles.
Yeah.
So like I was using I usually play through an angle head, and it's very tight, and it's very um just like clear, and you can like hear what's going on, and it's like very articulate and easy to play for me anyway. And for the Chapong tour, I used Shatiz's Heavy Metal Warfare head, and it sounded crazy, and it just was so not what I'm used to playing out of. And it was also kind of broken, so it just like sounded even more insane. And um, they really wanted me to like lean into how insane it sounded, and I just was not, frankly, like ready to do that. I'm just like, I think this sounds kind of bad, but it was cool. Um, and then just like not, I just didn't have a lot of time to learn the songs, so that was, and they're weird, like they're weird songs. They're not like songs that I write, which is fun and why it's fun to learn them, and it was very inspiring, but it was tough, and there's some parts that I felt like in my brain should have happened 4 times, but happened 3 times, and then there were parts that happened 6 times and then a half time, and just like, oh my God, if I had a month to learn the songs, it would have been fine, but it was like 2 weeks or something, and we practiced 1 time, so
Oh, well,
yeah.
Are you performing with them at the Pig Destroyer show?
No, I don't know if you've ever listened to the band Vixen Maw, but
I haven't.
Mo from Vixen Maw is playing guitar at that show. He lives in New York, so he can
Sure.
it's much easier for him to practice with them.
Yeah.
He's a great guitar player, and that band is super weird and awesome. And you should definitely hit him up and have him on here if
Yeah.
he's a fucking weirdo. And he records bands at this like $1 million studio in New York that has microphones that cost more than like a new Toyota Tacoma. It's crazy.
Jesus.
His life is
That's
crazy.
crazy.
I have no idea. And he's like a session guy. He plays with Liturgy. He's crazy. He's awesome, dude.
Well, it's in your backyard, so I'm sure you'll, if you're not on
Oh
tour.
yeah, I'm going to be above the. I love Pig Destroyer, and I love Chapong, obviously, and I love Malignancy. So there's
Yeah.
like no chance I'm not going to go.
Well, we've talked about, some bands that you're into, and maybe even just like learning riffs. Where does that begin? Like, one question that we often ask people on the show is like, what makes a riff? Like, how would you define it? Whether as a listener or a musician, like what gravitates you to a riff?
I mean, I like guitar music. I like lots of different kinds of music. Recently, I've been listening to a lot of like weird ambient stuff because I'm trying to write new stuff, and I try not to listen to a lot of metal when I'm writing because I don't want to, I don't want to be taking ideas or whatever. Um, but as far as guitar music goes, like I feel like a riff, for what makes a riff, I feel like a riff has to be more than one note. I feel like a riff can't just be like a chug open. I feel like that's not a riff, like a kill switch engage breakdown. That's not a riff to me. It has to be more than one note. And it doesn't have to be melodic, obviously, but it has to have like some like movement or character that I feel like a riff has to feel like it's going somewhere. I don't know. The thing that got me into riffs was, have you ever listened to, there's a song, it's called Wasp / Behind the Wall of Sleep. It's on the first Black Sabbath album.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's that part, it's like just the chords, and then it goes to the blues like the dun, 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 dun. That's like the first riff I've ever heard. And when I heard that, I was probably like 9 years old. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is that? That's so cool. And what made it even cooler to me was that they only do that part one time. I didn't realize that it was like not a real, it was like an intro. It was like an intro. It's like not actually part of the song. I don't know. They broke those songs up, but they don't go back to that part. And that always fascinated me because in my head I was like, that's the best part. Why don't they go back to it? So I would like skip. I would like be listening to the CD, and I would like skip back to the beginning of the song to hear that part again, like over and over again. But then I realized that the reason that I think it's so sick is because they only do it one time.
Right.
which is why my stupid band doesn't repeat any parts.
I was gonna say there's a through line here for sure. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, so much of your riffs, I listen to like Seat Yourself, and like it is so forward moving, and like, yeah, there is such an impact when you like get hit with some of this. Like, is it? I forget how it's pronounced, so I apologize. Juana, is it a town? Juniata. Thank you. Okay, I was like driving myself nuts trying to figure out how to pronounce that. But like, yeah, there's just so much. Like, there are so many like forward, like just progressions, and you know, I do think there is a lot of melody in your playing and a lot of chaos, and it is funny to hear like it maybe kind of starts with Black Sabbath in a way. What was your first show? Like, what were some of the other first like records that you were listening to when you were getting in guitar music?
The first show, okay, so I'm sure I went to, I'm sure I saw like a Beatles cover band play at the park at the Bellevue Park near my parents' house in Wilmington, Delaware. But I can't, the first show that I remember going to, like, I feel like I was at, okay, so I definitely remember, I have like a very clear experience of going to a restaurant in Lewis Beach, which is like the Delaware beach, called Irish Eyes. It's like a crappy pub, you know? And there was like just a blues band playing, and I was probably 6 or 7 years old. And I just remember every time the dude hit the kick drum, I felt it in my chest, and it like made me very uncomfortable. But I feel like that doesn't really answer the spirit of your question. The first show that I remember going to, that I would describe as a show, there was this guy who worked at the Guitar Center in Wilmington, Delaware. And every time, like me and my brother, you know, we listened to like Nirvana or whatever at the time. We were listening to like just like rock music. And we would go into the Guitar Center and like, you know, fuck around with the guitars and basses, and this dude who had like a huge septum ring and like these tiny little pants and this like big black leather jacket, you know, he like looked like a Hesher from the 1980s. And he's like he's probably my height. Yeah, you know, he's not super, he's a short guy, he's a little guy. His name is Brian Mikas. I love Brian. He's a great dude. I still friends with Brian. But he would like pick up like a BC Rich, you know, he'd be like, you got to play this. Or he'd like hand me like a Rhodes V. And I'd be like, what the fuck am I doing with this? You know, I remember one time his band was playing a show in Philly, in West Philly, a house show at this house called Cloud City. And this house was actually like a notorious punk house, you know, at first in the early 2010s in Philly. You can go on YouTube and you can see videos of like, you know, like, or these bands that were important to me, like Backslider and like, you know, like Philly grind bands. You can see like videos of like Chainsaw to the Face and Magruder Grind playing at Cloud City and stuff. So I think that's pretty cool. But we went to this place and we saw his punk band called Rubbish play. They were terrible. And you know, they were like, you know, they sounded like early Gigi Allen or like the Ramones, but then like they would like set shit on fire and throw beers at the crowd. And like when my dad dropped me and my brother off, and we were probably like 13, there was like a dude outside of the house like smoking a bowl, and my dad just was like, don't do drugs, or like don't smoke. He was like, don't smoke anything. And we were like, okay. And then he dropped us off at this random house, and I feel like that's probably the first show that I went to.
So sometimes being terrible is like the most punk thing you can do. Like,
I agree.
Not being a great band and knowing that you're not great is like so fucking punk.
Right. They promoted it well. They told you what was good, you know?
There's a video. It's not from the show that I was at, but there's a video of Rubbish playing at Cloud City in like 2011. And while they're playing, they're just like full on playing, you know, like they're doing their thing. And Brian, the singer, the dude that I'm friends with, just fucking pukes on the floor in the middle of the song, and then just goes back to singing like nothing happened. And it's like clear as day on the video. It is unhinged. It was awesome.
In doing research for this interview and show, there seems to be like a history of singers throwing up in your life just at
Oh
at
yeah,
any
I know, Gene. Oh yeah, Gene with the puke.
Oh my god. Like
I know we're known for that, and it bothers me, but I have to. I can't say anything, you know, because I'm happy that we're known for anything. But then I'm like,
Yeah.
really?
well, one quote that I did like about Gene was, you know, he had a lot of great things to say about you, but like one thing in particular that stood out was just that you are essentially like a scholar of grind music. You've just studied it and listened to it. How did you find this subgenre? Like, what about it sticks out to you, and like how like that you've like dived in fully and playing it?
So I got introduced to grindcore through Scott's Relapse comp. This comp kills fascists. When I was I used to do this thing called School of Rock, which like you take music lessons and you learn how to perform, and you'll like learn a bunch of classic rock songs and perform with a bunch of other children. And that's how I met Michael, the original drummer from Bandit. And when we became too old to kind of like do the School of Rock thing, I was like, dude, I still want to be in a band. Let's start a band. And I sent him all these bands that I was really into at the time. And they were like to me, local bands that were playing, you know, around me in Delaware. So there was like this hardcore band called Double Dealer, who was fucking sick. They like sounded like Marauder or something. And I met their singer at like the Zoomies at the mall, you know.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, this is the sickest, heaviest band. And then Full of Hell, I was like super into Full of Hell. Still super into Full of Hell, but I was super into Full of Hell. And I was like, let's start a band. And like I sent him like a couple of these records. And I think that my friend had showed me Zabalba, and that was another band that I was into. And then Michael sent me the Relapse comp, and he was like, listen to this. And the first song that I actually listened to from the Relapse comp was Behind the Steel Curtain, which is a Maruta song.
There you go.
And that is how I got into like real grindcore. Because before that I had maybe heard like stuff from Relapse Records. I listened to Dying Fetus, and I'm sure I had listened to some of the records that they had put out at the time. I definitely knew Pig Destroyer. I remember hearing Pig Destroyer on YouTube. I like stumbled upon Prowler in the Yard, and I listened to it, and it like deeply disturbed me. And you know, that was a formative experience. They're like still one of the best, still my favorite band, you know, still the biggest influence on me. But Michael sending me that comp definitely was what got me into, you know, I got into like Agents of Satan, and that's how I found out about Plutocracy, and I got into Chainsaw to the Face, and that's the reason that I'm straight edge, is because I got into Chainsaw to the Face.
That's wild.
And I'm like still straight edge. It's so funny. But that comp changed my life.
That probably introduced so many people to like, I mean, I know Weekend Nachos was on there, Magruder Grind, like there's
Insect
probably a
Warfare.
lot of, yeah, right. Like introducing so many people to like these like classic bands. But yeah, come to find like, you know, obviously very influential on you. I know Gina's mentioned getting into that same comp as well. But it's first time you heard Maruta, I guess I should mention that's like kind of the topic of our discussion today. Their sophomore record, Forward Into Regression from 2011. Now, when I asked you like, hey, I want to have you on the show, I want to talk like riffs and guitars, we want to talk about a record. You didn't actually lead with this record. You were wanted maybe to do a record that we had covered on the show before. But why was this your second pick? Like, what about this record sticks out to you?
Well, I definitely wanted to do a grindcore record because I play in a grindcore band, and I love music. I love death metal, and I love hardcore, and I love weird fucking fried noise music. And most of what I listen to on my day to day is like, you know, sad love songs. I love like the Magnetic Fields and the Silver Jews, but grindcore, just like I spiritually am connected to grindcore, and I just love, it's just like, that's how I feel in my head all the time. I just hear like it's like a specific blast beat in my head, you know. It's like the Brian Fajardo, just like just going all the time. So I wanted to pick a grind record. I wanted to pick a grind record that was to me is very underrated. this Maruta was like so incredibly influential on me, and I still think that they're one of the best to ever do it. And I just don't, you don't really see a lot of people talk about them. So I wanted to talk about this album also because it's my favorite Maruta album. And they're great dudes, super good friends of ours, and they're a 7-string band, and not enough bands use 7-string guitars. So I feel all of those. That was definitely my consideration. I was like, oh, I want to do a 7-string grind band. I don't want to do Pig Destroyer because that's too obvious, and everybody knows that I love Pig Destroyer. It's like it's like the first thing that people say about my band when they hear it. They're like, "You guys sound like Pig Destroyer," which I'm not. I love those compliments. I consider that the highest compliment in the world. But
you play one of his guitars, right?
yeah, it's right here. This is the best guitar I've ever played. It's like the Fear Factory dudes, like when Dino left Fear Factory in like 2008. His bass player was the guitarist of Fear Factory for a second. His name's Christian Old Wolbers. It's like some European guy. No, I didn't mean that in like an offensive way. There's nothing wrong with Europeans. But it's his signature. It's made in Japan. I put the Meshuggah pickup in it. And it's the best playing guitar ever. I think he used it on Book Burner. So it's the Book Burner guitar.
Whoa.
So it's got some super heavy beatdown mojo because there's crazy ass beater riffs on that album.
And fucking Black Flag covers and Misfits cover.
Yes, all those songs. I always forget that they did the cover album.
You made a joke. One of the quotes we had in our resources, you made a joke that y'all got a cease and desist from Pig Destroyer.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple. Yeah, I mean, definitely. No, I mean, those guys, they're super, super cool and super humble dudes, and they're, I'm lucky to call them my friends at this point. And the influence is so. There's nothing I can do. I feel like I write riffs or songs that I'll be like, I'll spend an entire week listening to like Unholy Grave or like Shitstorm or just like grindcore that sounds absolutely nothing like Pig D, and then I'll like write a song and I'll send it to the group chat, and Govinda, our drummer, will be like, sounds like Pig D. Okay, dude, like it's just not like it's just a matter of my psychology at this point. It's so ingrained.
Once you moved from listening to like more classic rock or like older metal or whatever into grind, was there like a first grindcore song that you learned on guitar, or like the first few grind songs that you learned?
Yeah, when Michael and I, when we were doing Bandit initially, we would just like jam on a bunch of stuff, just like everybody does, when they're first starting out. And the first song I ever remember trying to learn was the song Disassembler. It's it's one of the Insect Warfare songs off of This Comp Kills Fat. It's one of the best Insect Warfare songs, super underrated track. And we would always jam on that song at practice. Like when you get to that point of practice, practice is over when you start playing like Slayer and shit.
Yeah.
But like we would always fuck around with that. So I tried to learn some of those songs. I definitely tried to learn, and I'm still trying to learn how to play Hyperviolet. I have no idea how that riff works. And the record is like Dimebag style. It's like 15 cents lower than E standard. So like I'm always like trying to tune my guitar to like, when I got it in my DAW, and like next time when I see them in December, I have to be like, just like how does this, what is going on here? But the Disassembler riff, like the beginning sort of like Napalm Death Circle Pit part is definitely, I remember sitting down and being like, I'm gonna learn how to this, but there's no tabs, so I just have to learn it by ear.
Damn.
Which is I'm so grateful for that experience because I learn everything by ear now. And I feel like I've trained my ear a lot from doing that, from just like trying to learn people's songs that there's no chance that there's any guitar tab anywhere. So I think that's fun that I will catch myself listening to a record and I'll like immediately kind of know like what's going on, which I don't take that lightly. I'm very grateful to be able to do that.
When you posted your story that you were like learning songs from this record like that, I was like, yeah, I mean,
That's
good fucking luck, man. There's some stuff on here that Eduardo's doing that I can't rack my brain around. Like truly, like he has so many different like weird techniques and textures that he's using. I truly don't know how one would replicate that.
You know what? The things that really make his playing are he will do those
Yes.
the bar rakes, and it's like a minor, or no, it's like a major chord. He's like doing these major chords, but he's doing them inverted, but because he's upstroking them, it makes him sound like so weird and angular. But it's really just like I could play. Do you think it'll sound good if I just like play it
Hey,
on
we
my
could try it. Let's do
we
it.
could try it. Let's try it. I was trying to set up my fucking interface, and then I realized I don't have a microphone. So if you would hear the guitar, you wouldn't be able to hear me talking to you. And then I was like,
Gotcha.
oh shit. So that didn't work.
Let's
But
see.
it's
Let's
like
see what. Nope. I ain't getting none.
you can't hear it? I
Nope.
can turn it up. It might piss off my dog. Nothing. Well, we tried. Well, that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
You know what? I will say, like, even though he has like such a like very, like you said, angular and kind of like chaotic style of playing, I do feel like somehow weirdly enough, it's also pretty melodic and kind of tuneful for what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
It's because it's, you know what? And I was listening to it. It's because there's so much related to the octave. Like I think they're playing in G or F sharp. It's like very low. It's like almost Meshuggah tuning. But a lot of the riffs are surrounding like the low notes, but then he's playing up in the higher register of the octave and switching back in between them, and it does sound really nice. And it gives it like it can be very catchy. Like there's some riffs on there that I think are super catchy. The opening riff to the first song is like, to me, is like one of the strongest openings of any grindcore album. It's
Yeah.
up there with like Cheerleader Corpses. It's so sick.
Damn.
And it's just like slave driver. It's like so iconic to me, dude. That's the Maruta is classic rock to me. Like when I first heard that shit, it totally blew my mind. So it's like
It's like truly like so. I mean, like, yeah, kind of steak and potatoes in a way, like just right in your face for a lot of it. But then, yeah, they add like all of these like really interesting phrasings and like little, I don't know, just, yeah, like I said, textures. But, you know, as like as a person in like a one guitar band, I do feel like, you know, when you listen to Bandit's work, there is like, again, a lot of chaos, but there is so much clarity. Like, how do you like go about songwriting where like, all right, I know what I'm going for, but I do want to make sure that there is some sort of like melody and like clarity to this. Cause like we mentioned earlier, like there's so much movement in it, but I feel like I'm on a ride. I feel like I can sink my teeth into it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
luckily, I feel like we're kind of lucky that we don't, because have a bass player. I feel like sometimes that benefits us because all you're really getting is the mid range of the guitar. And obviously, when we make records, we do like movie magic. There's no bass. Like I don't record any bass, and we don't like pitch shift. And there's no pitch shifting or anything. But a trick that we learned from Kevin Bernstein is like if you take a like a shitty guitar speaker and you reverse the polarity on the speaker, it just becomes a microphone. And when you reverse the polarity on a 4x12 guitar speaker, it becomes a microphone that basically only records sub frequencies. So we will, set up your average like SM57 and then maybe some other like ribbon microphone that you would normally get for guitar. And then we'll have like a room microphone, to get like the reverb and stuff. But then we'll set up this other microphone that records the subs of the guitar and we'll mix that in as well. So it's like basically a track of playing your guitar through a subwoofer to try and sort of fill out that low end without losing the clarity. As far as like writing the riffs though, a lot of the riffs I write like in my head while I'm walking around and I don't have a guitar. And I do this awesome thing where I like take a video of my face singing the melody of the riff. I'll literally like I have like hundreds of videos on my phone of me being like dun, 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 dun. And I like every once in a while I'll like send them to someone who in my like I'll send them to my friends who like aren't in Bandit and just be like you're a psychotic individual, like what the fuck is it? but then I'll come home and I'll try and like I'll there's like a clear melodic idea that like stood out to me, and I'll try and like learn it. And sometimes it's like super sick, and sometimes I'll look back at this video and of myself on the subway looking like a schizophrenic person and be like, what the fuck were you I have no idea what I was so inspired by at the moment.
I mean, I feel like you're not alone. I feel like I remember hearing John Hoffman tell me one time that he like will do it in his voice memos app, like on the train into work, and you're just like, oh, I guess I wasn't. Maybe I'm slacking because like I'd never even thought to do that. Just like like and be able to.
Well, have you ever thought of the worst feeling is when you think of something and you don't have a guitar?
Yeah.
And then you're like, that's so sick, and then you forget it. Or like you come home and you like half remember it, and like you remember a little bit, but not enough to get like the full character of what you were thinking. And that is a huge bummer. So this is just doing our best to mitigate that, and it is fried, but I'm happy to know that it's other people do that. I'm sure other people do it, but the videos I think make it funnier and like more stupid because you can like see my face.
I'm gonna put this out here right now. If you do that, just send me the voice memo.
I'll send you a couple of recent ones, and you can edit them in here so people know what I'm talking about.
And if anybody out there does the same thing, I want to hear it. I want to hear your voice memo riffs.
That would be awesome. That would be an awesome like art project to just make a video that's like 20 minutes of that.
We were kind of talking off air. Like, I'm familiar with Maruta. This was the first time I've listened to this record. Swindle, I am curious. Like, do you have a relationship with this band or this record?
Nope.
Well,
Nothing.
Nothing.
Did you ever hear about them?
I haven't.
Really? To me, that was such a big deal. Like we actually, we played a show with them. I booked a show for them when they did I think it might have been their last tour. It was Maruta and this band from Pittsburgh that's called Dendritic Arbor. It was like really like fried psychedelic black metal shit. It was like kind of more metallic, but almost like a more chill version of Artificial Brain.
Oh,
like,
wow.
It's very cool. They're a really unique band, and the guitar player Max was a really nice guy. I don't know whatever happened to those dudes, but it was those guys were on tour, and I booked it. The lineup was Bandit, Ground from New Jersey, Jarhead Fertilizer, Dendritic Arbor, and Maruta. And that was my senior year of high school. It was in 2015, so it was 10 years ago, which is psychotic. And it was October 30th, so it was almost 10 years ago. Exactly, and it was a Halloween show, and I like tried to get everyone in Bandit to dress up. But they told me they were going to dress up, and they like bought costumes, but then they didn't wear. They like were fucking with me. They didn't wear the costumes, so I was dressed as a police officer, and nobody else was dressed as anything. It was so fried. Yeah, so that was pretty funny. I don't know if there's any videos of that show, but if there are, I would love to see that.
You should have run with that. Just like every show for a while, you're just dressed up as a cop. And nobody else is dressed up.
It'd be like if do you guys ever listen to Tomahawk? It's like it'd be like if Tomahawk, if like Mike Patton showed up and he's the only one that's dressed as a cop, and he's just like, what the fuck, guys? Trevor Dunn's like, April Fools. Yeah, that was goofy. And I was such a like, I was so starstruck when I met them for the first time because I was just like such a big fan, and I like said what's up to Mitch, and I didn't realize that I was like a small boy dressed as a cop, and he was like fucking with me. He was like, "Is there a problem, officer?" And I like didn't get it. I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm wearing a Halloween costume right now."
Well, and then for that period, they had kind of like switched around because, and we'll touch on it a little bit too, where like there had been multiple lineup changes. They broke up for a little bit and then came back. And I think maybe Morrow, like, didn't he like switch from bass to guitar during this era?
So so Mo joined the band for this record.
Right.
This was the first record with Mo on bass. In Narcosis, I think, and all the EPs and demos and stuff, like it was just the three-piece, like same Bandit style lineup. And then their drummer like left in between in Narcosis and Forward Into Regression. And Mitch and Mo were already friends. And Mo's roommate was also a super sick, insane, extreme metal drummer. I don't know. I actually don't know if he was in any bands at the time or before. But then they both just joined Maruta, and that became the lineup. And Mo was the bass player.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess really just to kind of run through this a little bit, formed in 2005, right? Southern Florida, Orlando, Miami area. Mitch, the only thing that I was able to find, and I know Swindle has the split. He was in Tyranny of Shaw before that. He's only, from what I understand, only on the Phoenix Body split from 2004. Nick Augusto was the drummer, the original drummer of this band. The only previous band that I was able to really find was Metal Militia, which might have been his childhood band with Paolo Gregoletto from Trivium. They were like childhood friends. They grew up together, and that would kind of tie into a later bit of this story.
It makes complete sense that someone from Trivium would be in a band called Metal Militia.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Like,
what doesn't make sense is that someone from Maruta would be in Trivium.
Well, just
that's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. That is wild. And then Jeff Stevenson was the original guitar player of Maruta. He played in a death grind band called Implosive Disgorgence that may have started just slightly before Maruta, maybe like a couple years before. And then somehow they all got, I'm sure they played shows, they knew each other, got connected.
And they're still around. They still play shows.
No shit, really?
Yeah. I don't think they play super frequently, but I've seen them on lineups. They've done, I think they played, they did like there's that Night Shift Merch Fest that they do in Florida now, and I think that they played that the last time around, but I could be wrong.
Hell yeah. I mean, it sounds disgusting. I listened to a little bit of it. It may, you know.
Yeah, they're a sick band.
But I do find that there is like, I mean, even with some of the later members of this band, I mean, it seemed like there always seems to be some sort of like tie-in with like brutal death metal, and some of, like, I do feel like there are even some kind of like filthy slam parts on this record that we're talking about, maybe on like the back half of the record.
Body Weapon, dude. That's slamming Body Weapon. And Mo wrote that song.
Oh, really?
Mo wrote Body Weapon, and then he wrote the Blood of the Luddite, and then the second to last song, I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, and then the rest of it was all Eduardo.
There's some slow groovy jams on here for sure. I love them. The name, of course, very wholesome name, named after a special project during World War II, kind of experimenting and torturing folks.
This is Unit 731.
Right. Yeah.
Have you ever? So there's a fucking sick ass beatdown band from Pittsburgh called Unit 731.
I did not know that.
Definitely that band was back when I was into hardcore. That band was awesome. I used to watch people get knocked unconscious to that band when they were playing Wilmington, Delaware.
I guess that kind of
Unit 731 was like the Japanese military would just like kidnap people from the towns that they captured in China and do fucked up experience. It was like their version of Joseph Mengele and the Nazis. And the people that they kept in those camps, they called Maruta, which means log in Japanese. So,
jeez,
they clearly thought, they really, were clearly concerned with their human rights.
I remember our friend David from Billis was watching this movie called Men Behind the Sun, which is I think it's like a Hong Kong movie about all of that. And I was like, that looks like the most fucked up thing I've ever seen. So I'm sure the real life thing is just absolutely horrendous. But that's what it's named after. As you might imagine, they're definitely influenced by a lot of other grind bands, like especially some fellow Floridian bands like Assuck. And they mentioned like Gorguts and Los Crudos, Discordance Axis, Malignancy being another one of them as a big influence on them. I'm sure a lot of those are probably hitting home for you as well.
For me, absolutely. But to me, because I was thinking about it, listening to this record. I've listened to a bunch over the past couple weeks when we decided to do this. I think it's like the biggest influences that stand out to me, definitely like Gorguts with the weird chords and like the angular shit, but also Discordance Axis. But it also sounds like Circle of Dead Children. And that band is also super underrated. If you haven't listened to them, they're a Pittsburgh band. They're death grind, but it's like brutal death grind mixed with doom. So they have these like super fast, crazy, psycho blasting parts. And then they'll have these like super heavy slam parts that sound like Suffocation or Internal Bleeding. But then they've got these just like super dirgy, heavy, slow bits. And it's like really evil sounding chords. And I feel like Maruta definitely has there's some common vibes between those two bands for sure. Their record, Starving the Vultures, I highly recommend it.
Fuck yeah, I'll have to check that out. I feel like the demo coming out might be like the quickest turnaround for this band in general. Like they formed in 2005. They recorded a demo in November with John Nunez, who was in Tyranny of Shaw. He's also a member of Torque and Shitstorm. They released it at the end of 2005. But then like their debut record didn't come out for like several years. I mean, I think they started recording in like late 2006 and then like recorded it periodically over the like several years. And they lost their original guitar player, Jeff Stevenson. And then you'd essentially have Eduardo joining the band. I did see that he was like briefly a member of another brutal death metal band, which I like. I apologize because I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of this. Races Torcidas. I hope I pronounced that right.
I'm not familiar.
Again, very filthy sounding brutal death metal. So I feel like it kind of makes sense, and especially the way he plays, like I can kind of clearly see where his like background and influences lie. But yeah, they recorded with John over like several years in Florida. Their debut record, In Narcosis, also mastered and mixed by Scott Hall. So there's another tie-in there. And of course, as we mentioned, he featured them on This Comp Kills Fascists Volume 1. So very, very important comp for some of the people here involved. But yeah, so just kind of like lineup changes. I know there were some issues with engineering and production, but it kind of delayed this record from coming out. In that time, they did sign to Willowtip, who they've worked with pretty much their entire career, except for the final record, which came out on Relapse. Yeah. Some of the other projects that members of this band have been involved with have also released albums on Willowtip as well. After the release of this record, they kind of spent like 2008 and 2009 touring with bands like Impaled and Phobia, Kill the Client, Malignancy, Rotten Sound. At a certain point, Nick, who I mentioned being childhood friends with a member of Trivium, he was previously a drum tech for that band. Their drummer, Travis Smith, kind of dropped out from a tour in 2009, so he filled in, and that was like kind of basically like his opening to eventually join that band, which again, so crazy. I would never have expected there to be, I know they're both from Florida, but like the fact that they are one and the same, like, is so crazy.
It's very funny. Is that on their Encyclopedia Metalum, I wonder? It's like, oh, this guy left to join Trivium, and then you click the Trivium link and it goes nowhere because they're like, this is whack. It doesn't care. This is too pussy for Encyclopedia Metalum. They said that about us. They're like, for the first like few years we were a band, like my friend would like try to make a page for us on there, and they would like email him and be like, "It's too hardcore," and then they would like delete the page.
Oh,
So,
Damn.
and when we released Siege of Self, we finally got on there, and I think our page is still up. So
it is. Yeah.
it's finally metal enough. It's finally metal enough.
I even saw they whatever record he was on, like, because I know he was in the band for like quite a few years. They talk about him kind of like saving that band from breaking up, and I think even that the shithead from Disturbed produced it, and he's like talking about him, and he's like,
"Oh, the singer, dude."
Yeah, I guess he produced one of their records, and he's like talking about Nick from Maruta and like how he's like an amazing drummer, and like maybe like his, you know, he always wants to go blast. He has like one speed, but once you get him out of that and like out of his zone, and like he's like incredible or whatever. So it's, again, just a weird thing to like have like worlds collide like that. But
Yeah.
So as mentioned, Maruta went through another set of lineup changes. Mauro Cordoba or Mo eventually joined. They were starting to look for a bass player maybe around like 2008 for potentially like live shows. He joined in like kind of mid to late 2009, I believe. He was in a band called Dolphin Splatter, I guess Mitch mentions.
I'm not familiar.
I couldn't find anything on it. I would love if Mo's listening at any point, I'd love to hear anything by Dolphin Splatter. And then we also have maybe like that following June in 2010, you have Danny Morris, which you basically said they were
He's Mo's
roommates.
roommate.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And he's fucking crazy on this record. Like his I feel like this is definitely like a really cool guitar record, but it's just as much a drumming record for sure.
100%.
Insane.
The way that he does the fills that accent all of the weird riffs is just so, it's like, you don't even, as like a guitar player, I wouldn't notice something like that right away, but after listening to this record for 15 years almost, you know, it's so ingrained in my brain, and I love air drumming. This album is so much fun.
I'll have to, I didn't get a chance to listen to his other band, Gates of Mourning, that he was in, that he has listed. He's still in it, I guess, but I'd love to check that out. But yeah, it looked like they had entered in Mana Recording Studio, which maybe some people know. Eric Rattan owns and operates that studio. Ripping Corpse, Cannibal Corpse, Hate Eternal. They recorded the album with Brian Elliott, who had worked with Cannibal Corpse, Devourment, Dying Fetus, Exhumed, Goat Horror, Rivers of Nile, just to name a few bands. The kind of timeline for recording looked like they recorded drums for a few days in July, and then came back in August and did some of the vocals and guitar work as well. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the gist of what I know about like the events leading up to this record. I know you mentioned you talked to Mitch. Is there like any gaps or any information that we may have missed that you could fill in?
Besides those guys joining the band, Mitch just told me that Eduardo and him would drive up to Mo, and the drummer's name is Danny.
Mm-hmm.
Mo and Danny's house, and that they would practice for the whole weekend, and that's how they kind of wrote and finished the album. And he said it was he referenced it as being like one of the most fun periods of his life. So I'm sure I feel like that really comes across in the songs. You know, they sound really happy and like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I might want to touch on, I think the artwork is great. With Philly-based artists, Alex Ekman-Lawn. He did Afterbirth Records, Clean to the Trees of a Forest Fire, Dimmock, Krieg. Actually, one of my favorite Krieg records, Transient.
You fuck with that band Dimmock? You know that band? We
talked about Ripping Corpse on an episode. I know members of that band ended up in Dimmock.
I think it's all of Ripping Corpse without Eric Rattan.
Yeah.
That band is so incredibly underrated.
Yeah.
They're so weird and techie and cool, and I wish more people knew about them.
Again, if Dylan were here, he'd definitely have his 2 cents. So I feel like based off our Ripping Corpse episode, we'll definitely have to do a Dimmock episode for sure.
Dude, they're fucking awesome. They're a record, Phoenix Eye Fist.
Yeah. Damn,
Yeah.
this guy.
It's all death metal that's about martial arts and like kung fu. It's like Wu-Tang Clan death metal. It's so sick.
Hell yeah.
Well, I mean, with all that said, I guess shall we get into the like the meat of the record? Should we talk about some of these songs? You mentioned the opening track, "March Forward Into Regression." Like,
Yeah, dude.
What's going through your mind when you turn on this record?
For me, you just hear those, like it's the octave. It's like a power chord, but you take, it's like I guess it's like technically a diminished fifth or like a flat five. It's like a tritone, but you don't have the octave. He's just doing the dan dan don, and then hitting the low note, and it just sounds so fucking evil and in your face. And the drums are, starting and stopping with the guitar. It's fucking amazing and brutal. And it's just like, I feel like the cover of the album is like, looks like some big giant building or like giant wall, some like fascist architecture. And that's what the guitar sounds like. It's just like a wall of hate. Is so like low. And you can tell he's like playing, it's like a Ibanez RG7 through Mesa Boogie. And that's what it sounds like. It's just like so fucking beefy and sick.
It is like that, like kind of like droning like low note in the beginning. It feels like that building on the cover is like almost just fucking crumbling down to the ground,
Yeah.
like 100%. But we've talked about it like a little bit, just the way he plays. I mean, there is melody like amongst all of this like barrage of like chaos. And then, some of his like chord choices too, like maybe like some of it being like I guess I would, for lack of a better term, like blackened, like it just, some of that phrasing seems a little black metal influenced throughout the record. But yeah, that like upstroke thing that he does. Eduardo loves to make noises. He just can do it.
They're like major seven chords, and they sound so mean and crazy. But if you play them on their own, they sound so pretty and nice. And the way that he incorporates them is just like so fried and weird, and just like I've never heard anybody else do it that way.
Yeah.
If I'm fucking around a guitar and like I write something that sounds like that. There's a couple Bandit songs, especially I think the song Black Sand Beach from our Warsaw EP is just like, I'm like, that's the Maruta song. That's what it was called before it had a name. It was like, that's the Maruta song, It's just like not many guitar players I feel like have that specific of a sound, especially in grind. Grindcore is very as much as it is my favorite genre and my favorite like thing in music. It can be kind of cookie cutter, especially with the guitar stuff. It's very easy to just do like tremolo picking and then a D beat and then more tremolo picking and then like a fast hardcore part and then a breakdown. And then you're like, oh, that's grindcore. It's like, well, there's like actually lots of other things that you can do, and they're all on this fucking album. That's why I love it.
Swindle, as someone who had never heard this before, what are your thoughts, feelings?
I really loved it. I love freaky fucking noises, and I love freaky grind too. I feel like metalcore currently, maybe like Vane FM or something, bands like that, like really listen to this shit and they were like, let's make freaky fucking noises. Like that's our whole thing. That's what we're gonna do from now on.
Yeah.
And it's like inspired this whole wave of metalcore that currently exists.
There's definitely some unpaid dues for this band and a couple other grind bands from the early 2000s that were just like super ahead of their time and doing some weird fucking shit, but they were doing it way too fast for anyone else to like. Like these guys are Noisier. I feel like to me they're like a package in my brain. If you ever listen to Noisier, it's like Dorian Rainwater and Brian Fajardo from Gridlink and PLF and all the.
Isn't Mitch like somehow tied to that project as well?
He might have done vocals in them, but
Okay.
I don't know if he was ever officially in the band.
Gotcha.
But they definitely toured together a lot, and they just have like they're very different sounding bands, but they're both like death grind and they're very, very technical guitar wise. And I just feel like there's just like there's just like it's a gold mine of riffs. If you like ever need to be inspired to write some cool shit, like you put on one of those records and it's just like riff after riff after riff, and the songs are all 40 seconds long and everything, only happens one time, but you hear it once and you're like, oh, I could take that. But
I obviously like very much a guitar record, but like Danny's drums, incredible. I feel like there is just so much like I could go back to. I mean, they're like all like, most songs don't cross like the 2-minute threshold, but they accomplish so much within that amount of time. Like, when you're doing like an active listen of this thing, I'm like, I have to like go back so many times. I'm like, what like, what happened like for just a brief 2-second like burst? Like he is doing all these like crazy unique fills and like somehow like, he's like syncopating like the double bass with some of the guitar riffs and like even some of like the vocal cadence. I feel like in certain sections of this record. Swindle, as a drummer, do you have any thoughts, any favorite standout moments?
Devoid of allegiance, there were like I noted in that song specifically, like in the middle of this fast ass riff, there's just like quick like cymbal grabs, like pauses right in the middle of the song, and they just like go back to blasting. I was like, I don't know how you can be like that fucking precise with your cymbal grabs in the middle of blasting this grind song. It's crazy.
That's one of my favorite songs on the album because of the intro is this. It sounds like Meshuggah. It's like a Meshuggah. It's like and he's like playing on the low, but it only happens twice. That they do 2 bars of it, and it never happens again. And it's just like so. It's like the coolest part of the album. It's so sick. And the song by Bandit that you were talking about earlier, Junietta, actually started out as me like ripping off that song. Like the intro to that song didn't used to be the part that's on the record. It was me trying to steal that part. But not only did it sound too much like that part, it also just like we just like we could never play it. It just didn't sound good. Like I had like the Guitar Pro demo that sounded cool, but our old drummer couldn't do it. And then when Govinda was learning the songs, like it just didn't sound good, so we just had to change it. But but that song is like so fucking sick and very influential on me. I love when that it does that part and then it stops and it like almost sounds like the guitar is doing a riff, but it's not. He's just like doing like the anal
of course.
It's like it's genius, dude. It's so awesome.
I think that's probably what a lot of this record is like me like overthinking it, because like even earlier when you were like, oh yeah, he's just like upstroking or whatever, I'm thinking he's got to be like, is he sweeping? What is he doing? Like what like it just sounds so weird. But that opening of that song, like I immediately thought of like we talked about in our Pig Destroyer episode, like Scott Hall does like these fucking like marching like gallop type riffs like that, like kind of like I don't know it, but then again, like those are some of my favorite parts, and they might only spend like a bar or two on it, then like, all right, see ya, bye. Yeah, but effective as hell. Before we move away, like get too far into the weeds too, I definitely want to like touch on Mitch's vocals. Like I feel like there's like this layered like bear and snake thing going on that is just like so mean and like visceral sounding. Like he is definitely like a great part of this record. It's like another instrument. Is there like a particular song that sticks out to you, or like a particular element of his vocals that you enjoy?
Well, obviously earlier the first part of the record when he's like slave driver, it's just like so brutal. But one thing that really I think he's one of the best grindcore or death metal vocalists in general. Very few people, to me, can really do the good cop bad cop where they do the death growls and then they do the high. Very few people can do it and have it not sound like they sing in a deathcore band. A lot of the times that for me, when they go to the highs, I'm like, this sounds like that. Stop doing that. Just do the low thing where it sounds like devourment or whatever. But his highs are so they don't have that traditional like squeaky screechiness. It just sounds so tortured and fucked up. It's like more of a upper mid-range high scream, and then the lows are just like super brutal. The only other vocalist I feel like that really sounds like that is like John Chang, but John Chang's are even a little bit more screechy and annoying, where like Mitch's is just sounds like so ignorant and mean, and it like adds this angry element to the record that I feel like a lot of death metal vocalists a lot of death metal vocals don't sound angry. They just sound like gurgling noises.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I don't love. You know, I want it to sound pissed off kind of. And I think Mitch really does, he commits to that. It really carries the, especially on this album.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, his like scream, like intro in like Body Weapon or like, I mean, yeah, he sounds pissed. Like, Mitch sounds mad as hell, which is funny to hear that it was like, hey, he's having a blast, but I guess that's what it takes. Do you have, on the topic of like some of the vocalists, do you have like other people like, yeah, John Chang comes to mind, like maybe like I fucking hate my phone. Sorry. I feel like
Why do you keep doing that?
Dude, it's
Can we do it if I do it or just you?
There's like a thing. It's on. I think it's my iPhone that does it. I have to figure out how to turn that shit off, but I don't know how.
That's so funny.
It's been doing it for years, and he hasn't tried once to get it.
I like it. I think you should keep it.
I agree. You know what? I break my back over editing, but maybe it's just a bit now.
I think you were asking me more about other vocalists I like.
Yes, that kind of have that same like ability to go from the like guttural lows to the highs. Like Dylan Walker obviously comes to mind for me.
He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT for sure. And like seeing him live, he can do it. He could do it without a microphone and you could still hear it. It's so fucked up. I can't believe. And then his speaking voice is like, he sounds like he's like on a corporate call all the time. He's got like the most cordial and polite speaking voice that you've ever heard. And then his vocals are just like, oh, it's so fucking gross and fucked up. It's awesome. John Chang is another one who's really good at that. The highs are the hard part. I feel like I usually don't like the high vocals. You know who does it? So Jarhead Fertilizer. Dave Bland has those super fucking low like incantation vocals.
Yeah.
If you listen to the old Jarhead records, like if you listen to Opiate Conquest and like the shit before that, he used to do Dan Hogan from Plutocracy vocals where like it's just like the high squeaking and it sounds so fucked up and awesome. I wish he would still do it. And every time I see him, I'm like, dude, when are you gonna do the Plutocracy vocals again? But yeah, I don't know. I wish I paid more attention to vocals so I had like more to say here, but I'm really just like a guitar riff guy.
Yeah, and there's I mean, with a record that's just full of riffs like on every. I mean, there is definitely like at least one standout part to me. Like there's always going to be a riff that I could walk away on each track that we listen to here. And like, I think what I was really drawn to was some of the songs like on the back half of the record. I mean, Blood of the Luddite, Failure King. I mean, Salient, the instrumental track is crazy.
The Hands Are the Overseer, dude. That like, that the second half of that song, it's like that hardcore riff. It like almost sounds like All Out War or something, but it's got the weird accents on the China cymbal, and then he's doing the trap hi-hat beat. It's like so fried, but the guitar part is so like groovy and heavy. It's amazing. It's so incredible.
Not in the back half. There is a riff in Body Weapon that is so fucking weird. It's like near the end of the song, but it is somehow both very slow and very fast. There's like two halves of the riff, and the first half is like super slow, and then it's like the second half is a million miles an hour.
Oh.
Yeah, like the dun 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 dun. Dun.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Amazing. That's my favorite song on the record.
I think one of my other favorites, Etched in Granite, has like a fucking weird like knuckle dragging riff that like has like it, and they also do like, I feel like there's like some, it's like that kind of like pummeling riff, but then there's like weird phrasings like the rest of the record. There's some arpeggiated chords and some squeals. Like he really is just like pulling all of his tricks out for like every fucking song. Like how can I do to make this more interesting? Yeah, I don't know, man. Like there's so many great moments. And to know, like, I can't, as far as like bass is concerned, like I can't really, I'll be honest, like it's very hard for me to like pick Mo out particularly throughout the record, but it is cool to know that he is responsible for like some of my favorite riffs on the fucking record. So like,
Yeah.
there's that.
He wrote a few of the best songs, and he is a guitar player. Like he was originally a guitar player, as many people in grindcore end up being guitar players who become bass players. And like he did this record in 2016 that was put out on Nerve Alter. It's called Rama.
Oh,
It's like
yeah, with Dylan.
Ramu. Yeah, with Dylan and the drummer from who like plays live with Merzbow sometimes. I
Yes.
can't remember the guy's name.
Yep.
That record is fucking awesome.
Unreal.
Super underrated grindcore album.
And just to think like, yeah, we just like all live in different areas. Why don't we just do something? Let's put it out. Like whatever. Like it's such a good like. Oh man, I need to. I feel like that's one I've been wanting in my collection for a while. I need to like pull the trigger and get it.
You should hit up Aaron. I bet he has a million copies.
Fuck yeah.
He's trying to get rid of them probably. But as we all do, as we all have a million of our old 7-inches, and we're like, please take these. Please take these.
Yeah.
But I feel like that era of grindcore too is just like, and obviously I'm biased because like that was the era that I kind of got into extreme music right on the back end of that era. So I'm very nostalgic for it. I didn't quite get to experience it fully, but there were just so many cool bands coming out and putting out such violent, fucked up grindcore, and none of them sounded the same. There was like Shitstorm and Maruta in Miami, totally different sounding like, bands. And then you've got like Magruder Grind and DOC and Triac in Baltimore and DC. And you've got like Chainsaw in the Face and Ground in New Jersey. You've got like In Disgust from California. It's like you got Insect Warfare. Just like so many fucking insane, sick, like bands putting out records and nobody sounded the same. There was like no cliche shit going on either. I don't know. I'm very I've got like a playlist on my YouTube because I listen to, I've got YouTube music because most of the fucking fried grind shit that is not on it's not on Tidal or Spotify or whatever. And it's just like 2010s grind. It's like 80 videos of just like all of this shit that like, it's like, it's like, that was school for me that like showed me how to do all of this stuff.
It really like, I feel like, I'm just maybe like a few years older, and Swindle, like, I mean, I heard Magruder Grind for the first time because of him playing it at a party for some reason, and
killing the bombs.
Trying to make people leave. Like, get the fuck out.
Yeah, the party was in his house, and he's like, "All right, guys, I'm ready to go to bed. We're gonna listen to Magruder Grind Yellow album."
But you're totally right. I think not. You're like, I maybe I just hadn't heard anyone like really put it together like that before. But a lot of those records, that's just like some of my favorite fucking shit to go back to because it does sound so unique and creative. And not to say that there isn't some of that stuff going on now. I feel like, I love what you guys are doing. Like, maybe like even like a collapsed skull, like even just to kind of tie it back in with that like Full of Hell thing with like power violence and like drum and bass and like all these like samples and shit.
Those guys
like that.
rip.
Oh, I would love, it was one of my favorite records from last year. So I feel like it's still there.
You got to hit up Brandon, dude.
Yeah, I would love to talk to him. Yeah.
But the drummer, Jordan used to play, he used to sing in this band called Bench Press. They were like a beatdown hardcore band. They were super fucking sick. So that's like the first time I ever met Jordan. He was like he was playing at this venue in Philly called Ortlieb's, and it was Bench Press was playing with I used to play in that band World Below that you mentioned.
Yeah. Mm.
And the guys from that band were in a hardcore band called 10 Ton Hammer, and they wanted to play a show, but their bass player was like didn't want to do it, or has a baby, or like couldn't do it or whatever. So like I just became the bass player because I was already in their other band. So I got to play a show with those guys, and now he's in Collapse Skull. He's such a sick dude.
Yeah. As far as this record's concerned, I mean, we've talked a lot about like the different aspects of it and some of our favorite songs. Like, having picked this record, I know you obviously like it's very underrated. Like, what do you hope people get out of it? Like when, you go 10, 15 years down the road and like somebody stumbles upon Maruta record and they listen to this, what do you feel like the legacy of this band is? Like, what do you feel like the legacy of this record is? What are your thoughts?
To me, I feel like, well, what spoke to me about it was it's so raw, but it's still so technical. Like you don't have to sound like necrophages to be tech. Like I really like technical music. I really admire people who make really complicated fried stuff that like is inaccessible. I also like dumb boneheaded stuff too, but I prefer a lot of techie music, and I feel like the legacy of Maruta is almost like you said, like every song has something different. Every song has a part that stands out to you. And there's like, it's very much of the CD era. There's like 18 songs on this album. There don't need to be 18 songs on this album. Just every record that came out from like 2001 to 2012, it's like, if you ever go and do karaoke and you do like a song from, an old Destiny's Child album, you'll realize that there's like 18 choruses at the end of every one of those songs, because they're like, CDs can hold this many fucking gigabytes. Well, we got to fill every single one of them with music. But every single song has its own identity. Every single song for me has to be there. And I feel like so much with extreme metal, you listen to a record and you listen to like the first 3 songs and you're like, okay, that's the band. And you could listen to if I'm just being honest, like there are some songs at the end of records that I really like that I've never heard. I don't know what the B-side of fucking Butcher the Week by Devourment sounds like. I just don't like, it's like 40, it's like a 28-minute album. That's a lot of fucking gurgling and slams.
Yeah.
And I respect those guys, and I respect I'm not hating on anyone, but I do think that when I put together a record, and that's something I learned from Maruta, is that like every song can have its own identity. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. And, for being, there's maybe like really not a lot of output. I mean, even after this was released in like March of 2011, they went on a European tour with Wormrot and then basically like broke up for a couple years. And then, we kind of mentioned early on, like they would come back in like 2013. They put out like another record in 2015 through Relapse. And actually, I don't know if this is the reason why, but that I feel like that same tour that you were talking about, they like basically broke down in Denver and they had to cancel the rest of their tour. And that seems like it probably was it. But I mean, for what's there, I mean, I've loved everything that I've heard. Like obviously Swindle and I not being very familiar with this output, like I'm glad that you fucking like, we got to listen to this record. We got to talk about it. Cause I think it holds up with just about anything else that was coming out at this time. Like it's crazy. It's like so creative and unique. Like if as a newcomer to this band, like I recommend anybody check this out or just like listen to some weird fucking extreme music for sure.
I feel like it has anything. I feel like it has something for anyone that likes heavy shit. Like it is grindcore. And it is really technical, but it still has those like D beats. It still has those like Unholy Grave, like extreme noise terror parts. And it still has like the raw punk in your face vibe. But then it has all of this other like weird gore guts vibe, that I feel like nobody else has really fully combined. Well, there are other bands maybe that have tried to combine it. There's like Cognizant is another great example of a band that is sort of treads that line, but they don't have like the ignorant, like brutal death metal slam shit.
Yes,
like they've got something for everybody. It's such a eclectic mix of vibes on this record.
Listen to it, check it out. I don't want to keep you too much longer. I really appreciate you spending this time and kind of nerding out with us for a while. One thing we like to do to kind of like wrap up the show, we share recommendations of things we've been listening to as of late. Is there anything you've been checking out that you can share with the people listening, whether heavy, it could be anything. We just want to hear what you've been listening to.
Well, I just went and saw So I did that Sumac tour back in July with
Mhm.
Chapong, and the one of the acts we were on tour with was Patrick Shirishi, and I
Ah,
just went and
fuck.
saw him
Damn
perform
it.
in Philly.
I
Oh, you were
pronounced.
gonna say "Forgetting Is Violent," dude. That record.
No, well,
Forgetting
I
Is.
was gonna. Definitely Chapong, and also I've been mispronouncing Patrick's last name this entire time too. So I apologize.
How did you say it?
Shiroshi, is it Shiroshi or Shirisi? Shirisi.
It's spelled Shiroi.
Got it.
So it
Okay.
seems like it's Shirishi. I mean, there's probably some. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it exactly correct, but I've never heard him say it.
No, okay.
So,
I was gonna say you were on tour with him.
Yeah.
Not that he introduced himself like, hey.
Yeah. He said he says his full name and gives his address and social security number. That record rocks. His new record is awesome. The act he was on tour with is also really cool. His name is Matthew Sage, and he has a couple records that I think are really cool. It's a little bit more like ambient, sort of textural, like falling asleep type vibe. And he also put me onto this record that I've been really into. It's called Loop Finding Jazz. It's like micro jazz loops that are like cut up and made into like these like ambient sounds. It's like really low key. The guy's name is Jan Yelnick. It's like JenGaelnick or Nik. I think he's a German guy. But I've been listening to that a lot. Definitely some. It's definitely something. I feel like I need to say something heavy. I was at the gym. Today. I was listening to Wu-Tang Forever. That record's like it's one of the best comeback albums of all time. The new Defeat Insanity album is really good. Chronicles of Lunacy, that shit rips. Yeah, I don't know. It's like when you ask somebody what their favorite movie is and they just forget every movie they've ever seen.
What? Not to get too far off tangent, but you were like mentioning some more like kind of ambient stuff. I had no idea you played on that Animal Drowning record, Knife Play.
Yeah,
like, I didn't know
dude.
that.
I was in that band for a few years.
That's so crazy.
I lived with with every single one of those guys for like the first 5 years that I lived in Philly. We all lived in a house together. Their original lead guitar player was my twin brother, Patrick. And then he left the band, and TJ was like, well, you play all this crazy metal shit. Like, you can definitely play our fucking music, which was kind of true, kind of not true. Because there's a bunch of slide guitar parts that he wanted me to do, and I just cannot believe the slide guitar. And there's an awesome video of me playing with them I can't remember if it's in Boston. I mean, it's in a house somewhere on like the first like real tour that I did with Knife Play, and I'm doing the intro to one of the Knife Play songs with the slide, and every note is wrong. Every single note is wrong. It's like comically bad.
I love that. Oh, that's
and I like thought it was so cool. Like I would use like my Jackson 7-string for Knife Play just because I like wanted to be a dick and like look super cool. And I like had this idea that I was gonna do like some Steve Albini thing where there would be no gain and it would just be super loud and like all treble, and it never sounded good. It didn't sound good a single time. The reason that it sounds good on the record is because the dude who produced the record is really awesome. But
fuck yeah.
But yes, I am on that album.
I came back to college kind of late, so I was a part of the radio station when that came out. I just like played it on my show like all the time. I fucking fell in love with that record. So
dude, they're awesome. They're awesome, man.
Yeah,
they're straight up so good. And the dude that they have playing guitar for them now is this guy named Johnny, and he also lived with us for a little while. Like we were all roommates. And he plays in a band called Euphoria again, and they just put out it's like his music. He writes it, and it's super sick. It's like kind of more like country vibe. It's very, very good.
Check that all out.
Yeah.
Swindle, what have you been listening to as of late? Just out of curiosity.
I'm gonna wreck the Snowcaps album. Snowcaps. It features Katie from Waxahachie and her twin sister Allison,
We
and
love twins, dude.
that other guy MJ Linderman, and the person that plays bass has recorded Waxahachie's like last 3 records. Brad Cook, he's in the band too. Pretty fun indie pop kind of stuff.
There's a guy named Brad Cook who played in that band Ixius. I don't think it's the same guy, but maybe. He also would make records. That would be insane. And where's Waxahachie from?
Those 2 girls are from a bunch of places. One of them at one point was Philly. They're from Alabama. I think they live in Kansas City now. I don't know.
So definitely not. But I mean, that'd be funny if it was the same guy.
That would be right.
Ixius is dope. You should check if you listen to that. If you like
Snowcaps, you'll love Exodus.
Yeah, so true. What did you listen? What have you been listening to?
So I did listen to that Snowcaps record because it was released randomly on Halloween. Another record that was released on Halloween, however, Barren Path, Grieving, which features members of the band we talked about, Maruta, as well as like Gridlink. And yeah, their debut record, fucking killer. It's like what? I don't even think it's
minutes.
13 minutes. And it's got like how many songs on it? Maybe like, I think it's like
8,
12,
9.
It's like a song
10,
a minute.
It might be. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's so good. And I like, it's, I'm not going to try to pronounce the guitar player's name. He put out a record, like a solo record, maybe like a handful of years ago.
Rory.
It's like Taka. Fuck.
Takafumi.
Takafumi. Yes.
Takafumi.
But you're right. Yeah. What was the other guitar player's name?
Rory Kabinza.
Yes.
That is one of my best friends. He is one of the best guitar players I've ever known. He plays in that band and he also plays with Gridlink. But he used to be in this band called Beasters.
Beasters.
I don't know if you know what Beasters is, but Beasters is what we used to call shitty weed. I didn't call it that because I'm lame and I'm straight edge, but other people called shitty weed Beasters. And Beasters was like a sick technical death grind band from Philly that put out 2 7-inches through Nerve Alter, and they're like 2 of the best grindcore records of all time. They're the best Philly band. They are so influential on me, and they're so underrated. And if anybody from this podcast can get down with Maruta, you will definitely like Beasters.
And that's so crazy that like all of these different players on one record, I do feel like kind of similar to this Maruta record, like there's something for everybody. And it feels like maybe like a progression of this in a way, but then there's like all of these other like unique kind of qualities that come from the different collaborators on the record. So listen to the debut Barren Path record, Grieving. Listen to Bandit, Siege Yourself.
Oh, yeah, listen to the new Chapong album. I didn't play on that, but listen to the new Chapong album. That shit is sick. I never want to listen to it again because I had to learn it, and that was a nightmare. But it's incredible. It's very, very good, and those guys are very talented.
As far as the few months and the year ahead, I'd love to know what you got planned. What do you hope to accomplish in 2026, whether in life and music? What do you got going on?
So we don't have any shows booked right now. I'm trying to finish 2 albums. I'm working on 2. I'm trying to finish like a normal LP, and it's always been a goal of mine to do. I've always wanted to do, or not always been, but ever since I got into Meshuggah, which I got into Meshuggah like kind of late. I got into Meshuggah probably like in 2018 or 2019. For the first like years of my adolescence, I was like, I only wanted to listen to Insect Warfare. And I was like, I only want to hear short songs that are slow. So when I found out that there was a band that all of their songs were slow and long, I didn't want to hear long songs, and I didn't want to hear anything that wasn't blast beats. So Meshuggah didn't really work for me at that point. But when I got into Meshuggah, I got into that Catch 33 album that's all one long song. And I've always wanted to do a grindcore version of that. And
oh my God,
working on the Bandit Catch 33. So that's what I'm throwing my head against those 2 brick walls right now.
Fuck yeah. I can't wait to hear it. And just thanks for taking the time to chat with us. And I know we've, been sitting here for a while, but it really means a lot that, it's such a pleasure to meet you on tour and then get to chat with you and learn more about you in person. So I thank you, man.
I really appreciate you having me. This is super fun. I actually have no idea how long this has been.
I don't know.
I couldn't even guess. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. Yeah, follow Bandit, any of Jack's projects. You can follow us. It's all in the links below. But for myself, for Swindle, for Jack, for Dylan, wherever he is in the world, we'll be back next week with something else. See ya. Bye.
Oh yeah. Good night.